Welcome to Inside the Speaker Studio. I'm Rich Gibbons, and today we're joined by quite the Renaissance man, U.S. Air Force F-16 pilot, business leader, successful entrepreneur, winemaker, and our buddy from Northern California, Major Anthony Bourke, better known as AB. Thanks for coming in, AB.
Thanks for having me, Rich.
Good to see you. So for those that don't know your background, aviation, business, tell us just quickly, for those that don't know you, how did you get into speaking and what was the journey like?
You know, I was a U.S. Air Force F-16 pilot. I did 5 years on active duty, and then I did 15 years in the reserves. And when you get off the active duty and you join your first F-16 reserve squadron, your squadron commander warmly welcomes you and then pretty quickly says something like, "Okay, new guy, now go find yourself a real job." Mm-hmm. Unlike most of my squadron mates who pursued careers as United pilots or Delta pilots or American pilots, I chose to pursue my other passion, which was starting and building at least what I thought were great businesses. Mm-hmm. I got into the mortgage banking world. We opened a regional bank for a company called Weyerhaeuser Mortgage in Fresno, California, where I was flying F-16s at the time. That somehow grew into the most productive branch in the Western United States over the course of a few years. Mm-hmm. And then I got scooped up by another guy who was starting a manufacturing business and trying to figure out how to sell paint to the Home Depot. That business grew very dramatically. We went from having no business with Home Depot to having 40 feet of space in every Home Depot west of Minnesota, which was about $65 million of revenue in about 3 years' time. That was some wonderful growth. And what that taught me certainly was that everything I was doing to grow my business, to train my people, to execute, and really to win in the marketplace was the same thing I was doing in my spare time flying F-16s. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking, maybe I could speak about this.
What a concept.
Yeah, and from there, we actually started speaking to the Home Depot, and that put us on the map and helped me grow a business called Afterburner.
Right.
Grew that over 11 years, sold it in 2007, and then in 2009 started this current business, which is called Mach 2.
You're a parent. Think about the younger AB, the teenage AB. What's the one piece of advice you would give that younger AB with your graying wisdom now?
The same advice my father gave me, which was pursue your passions. When I went to college, my dad said, "You know, Anthony, there's very little correlation between what you study in college and what you're going to do professionally. My advice to you is go find the best professors in your school and take their classes and see what you're passionate about." I actually had a passion going into college. My dream was to become a 35-year-old F-16 pilot in the reserves, United Airlines captain based in San Francisco, and a bachelor. That was my dream. So follow your passion, have a dream, and don't be afraid to take chances.
So a Renaissance man, you're into winemaking. How did that come about? And tell us about the label and the title of the wine.
I grew up in Palo Alto, California. My family was involved in the wine industry from about the time I was in 7th grade. My family helped start a winery called Chalone. So during high school, I spent a lot of time down in the Pinnacles helping that group crush grapes and that sort of thing. Got an early exposure. Then my father helped start a winery called Ravenswood. So in college, I spent a lot of time over in Sonoma helping Joel Peterson and that crew make wine. When I graduated, I worked in a winery called Carmenet, and then I joined the military. Fast forward to 2004, I stopped flying airplanes. At that time, my family had helped start another winery called Mary Edwards, so I had access to grapes. I knew how to make wine, and we started making a couple barrels of wine in my garage. Right. And after about 4 years, we were up to 6 barrels, and I moved up to a winery in Sonoma and have been making wine there ever since. And now we make about 1,000 cases of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, sell it through a mailing list, and then place it in what we think are the best restaurants in the country.
Thank you for the bottle. We'll save it for a special occasion.
You're welcome. You're welcome. That's our newest release.
What book are you most likely to give as a gift?
I'm a big Jim Collins fan, and Good to Great is still one of my favorite books of all time. He's one of a kind. I've had the pleasure of meeting him a number of times. The way he looks at business, the way he gets hard data and results and can really build a case for these behaviors, such as being a level 5 leader, work and generate success, really moved me, and I still think about him all the time. The other non-business book I give quite often is Moneyball, and I'm a big Michael Lewis fan. I've read everything he's written.
Billy Bean.
I'm not a huge baseball fan. Yeah. That book brought baseball to life for me, but it also said, gosh, you can look at any situation, and maybe if you just look at it a slightly different way and turn the dial a quarter of a turn, how much more value can you get? How much better results can you get?
I understand you have a new business getting into air shows.
I've been in this business now for 21 years of speaking at corporate meetings and events. The most common thing I hear from meeting planners when I debrief with them, wow, AB, that was the best meeting we've ever had. I don't know how we're possibly gonna outdo it next year. Do you have any ideas for us? And year after year, I've heard that question and I've said, why doesn't somebody put on private air shows at corporate meetings and events? Hence the birth of our newest business, Mach 2 Air Shows, where we are bringing private air shows to the world of corporate meetings and events. You could just picture for a minute, it's the Cisco users meeting. They're on the beach at the Hotel Del in Coronado. John Chambers gets up at cocktail hour to say a few words to the guests, and suddenly two beautiful airplanes come streaming right behind him, smoke's coming out both. So we can put on a 12 to 15 minute air show there. Our pilots can come and join the group for dinner. And that night at the end of dinner, Mr. Chambers can announce their 10 best partners are going to get up in those same airplanes the next day and fly. And now with GoPro, we can film that ride from 6 different angles and very quickly edit it and then hand you or whoever the passenger is the ride of their lifetime.
That is the e-ticket ride.
That is the e-ticket
Of
ride.
all tickets, that's the one to get. This has been Inside the Speaker Studio with Major Anthony Bourke. I'm Rich Gibbons. Thanks for watching.